Hey, what's up guys, this is Shihab and this is the second episode of the DSLR photography tutorial, and today I'm going to talk about the aperture. So the first episode I told you about the aperture, shutter speed and ISO. These three elements is needed to make a perfect exposure, and today I'm going to talk about the aperture. Aperture is like the iris of our eye, and the aperture is the opening at the back of your lens. If the opening at the back of your lens is big, the more light will enter. If the opening at the back of your lens is small, the less light will enter and hit the sensor. And how much opening you want to set for taking a particular picture, the number counts as a f-stop, and this f-stop counts opposite way. So a 1.4 is bigger opening than a f8. So lower the number, bigger the opening at the back of your lens, and higher the number, smaller the opening at the back of your lens. Usually most of the prime lenses start with f1.4 or 1.8 and goes up to like f22. Some lenses are f32. So f32 is really tiny hole at the back of your lens, just like a little pinhole. So another factor with this big opening and small opening is the bigger the opening, more light enters, and it also gives you shallow depth of field. I'll make a dedicated episode about the depth of field, but for now, depth of field is the amount of the field or the amount of the area that will be in focus. So if the depth of field is shallow, that means a less amount of area will be in focus than a deep depth of field. So f1.4 is really big opening and also gives you a very shallow depth of field or very narrow or small amount of the area that will be in focus. On the other hand, f22 or f32 will give you very less light, because that's a very small hole or opening at the back of your lens, which also gives you a very bigger or deep depth of field. So now we're a little bit confused when and why I need this shallow depth of field or deep depth of field. So when you're trying to take a portrait of some person and you want to blur out the background, on that case you need a lens that has a big opening at the back of your lens, meaning a smaller f-stop like f1.4 or f1.8. By doing that, you are focusing in a very small amount of area. Like if you're focusing on the eye, you will see that the nose is little bit blurred and also the ear is little bit blurred. So your focus plane is just the eye or the eyelashes. So anything foreground or background of your eye will be out of focus or blurred out, and you will see those creamy buttery bokeh. So for blurred out portraits, use f1.4, f1.8. Most of the prime lenses, cheap prime Canon lenses, are starting with f1.8, so shoot with that. You also need a little bit of zoom to make sure the background is blurred out. It's very difficult to blur the background with a wide angle lens. So with a wide angle lens, you will be able to shoot a very nice landscape. But what aperture should you use to take a perfect sharp landscape? If your lens can go up to f32 or f22, that doesn't mean you have to go f32 or f22 to take a sharp landscape. For landscape, you can use f11 to f16. That's gonna do it. And for long exposure photography, like you want a light trail photography or some star trail photography, on those cases you may use the lowest number of the aperture your lens can give, like f22, f32, because by doing that you will see some good flares from the lamppost and other light sources. So that was the tutorial for the aperture. Next I will make the shutter speed tutorial and then the ISO tutorial. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button down below, and also share with your photographer friends if you think this video is helpful. Anyway guys, stay tuned, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys in the next one.